Hi everybody, welcome to the third episode in my brand new, updated for 2024, absolute beginner's guide to DayZ console server modding. Although what I do talk about does apply to PC as well, it's just some of the settings don't as well. So in this one, we're going to be looking at how to rename and control access to your DayZ community server with a password or a whitelist. So this is really good stuff. Now remember, in the description below this video you'll find a link to the playlist of all these new for 2024 updated video tutorials. So if you click on that, you can go through and you can pick the subject you want to have a look at. Also, you will find links to the next video in the series and the previous. I'm trying to record them in kind of a logical manner, where if you were new to community server modding, you could work through them and it would kind of be in the same order that you would be doing it on your server. You'll also find a link to Nitrado, which is the only provider at the moment for DayZ console community servers. Now, if you click through on that and you buy something, I do get a little cut of that. So, much appreciated if you use that method to get your server. So in the previous video I talked about how to buy your server and we went through the process. So now what should have happened, if you've waited long enough, if you go over to your account and you log in, you'll have all your servers. Hopefully there's only one, unlike myself where I've got quite a few. So let's scroll down. So this is the new server I've got. So if you click on the web interface, that button there, that will then take you over to your dashboard. Let's get to the right page. Let's have a quick look at this page before we go any further. So this is just telling us here the things like the IP address and what map we've currently got on the server. Very easy to change that. I'll show you that in a sec as well. Importantly, here we have the version number of DayZ that we are on. So when it comes to update time, it's nice to know where this is. So this server is currently on version 1.24. We can't change the version that a server is running on. Nitrado control that. And when there is an update, we get about 4 updates a year on DayZ. This will then clunk over. In this case, it will clunk over to 1.25. It's important to remember, though, that when this happens, it just clunks over the program that runs the server, the DayZ server.exe, if you like. It doesn't change the mission files. And the mission files are what gives your server its particular flavor, its particular type of DayZ that you want to run. Whether it be vanilla DayZ, or whether it be easier DayZ with lots of loot, or harder DayZ with more infected zombies and less loot. You control that. And so whenever there's an update, we have to update the mission files to include the new ones, and that there is an easy way to do that. Don't worry about that, but I just wanted to tell you. So now what we're going to do is let's jump over to Settings General over here, and let's scroll down and get started. So our mission, so the map we're on is Chernarus Plus. So if we click on that, we can see we've got Livonia there as well, or Enoch. Hopefully near the end of 2024 we'll have the new Frostline map. Will be an option on there as well. And there's no cost associated with changing the map. If we just wanted to change from Chernarus to Livonia, Enoch is its code name, and whenever you're in the mission files, they're called Enoch. So you could click on that. We could click on Save Changes at the bottom, restart, and our server would then be a Livonia server. The way it works, though, is that every time you go into a different community server or a different map on the same community server, your character progress doesn't follow you. So, for example, if we started this server as a Chernarus server and we ran around and we got a gun and we got some nice kit and a nice bag, if we then change the server to a Livonia server, we will be starting again on Livonia. If we change the map back to Chernarus, we would be back as that other character who's already got the gun, the bag, and the nice clothes. It saves that. In a similar way that when you go to a different community server that somebody else owns, your character doesn't come with you. They're individual to each individual community server. Whereas when you're on the public servers that are run by Bohemia Interactive, run by the DayZ devs, you can go from Chernarus map to Chernarus map, and your character takes their gear with them. So it's worth bearing in mind. Then we've got the host name. So this is the thing we're going to change first. So this is where you can come up with something. So I'm going to go with 1 beginner's guide scale speeders test server. Now remember, have I spelled scale speed this episode? Remember that when people are entering the server name on their Xboxes or PlayStations, they've got to use the virtual keyboard controlled by their gamepad, so try not to make things too complicated. I'd imagine with this one, once it's set up, if I just search for 1BG, this server will come up in the browser fairly quickly. But we'll see that way. Now remember, you can change your host name whenever you like. Whenever you do your change though, and we save the change and then we restart the server, the name can often take quite a while, several hours, to filter through to the browser, the server browser in the game. So you might not be able to find your server for a while if that happens. I'm not going to go into how you get your name, your server name, to the top of the list in the browser. There's other videos up out there. But maybe one thing I stressed in a previous video is that it's very difficult to create a community server that can attract a lot of players unless you already have a community. And in fact, if you want to buy and run a community server, and that's your goal, to have a server full of people, that's a very difficult thing to do. And I always say that if you buy a community server and you rent a community server and you mod it, it should always be about creating a version of DayZ that you want to play on, you and your friends want to play on, or even just you. You know, just create that experience that you enjoy, and then if other people want to come and have a go and they enjoy your flavour of DayZ, then great. But if they don't, it doesn't matter. At least you've got your version of DayZ. Okay, so password. Really coolly, on console, on PlayStation, Xbox, we don't have to use a password. If you keep scrolling down here, we have our whitelist. And as you can see, I've already got my name here. So on your Xbox or your PlayStation, you've got a username. It might be, Killer951 or something like that you chose when you were 12. Whatever that is, put it in here. And then as you add new people, you can put them, scale speed of 2. Say if you just happen to have like alt accounts on your Xbox or PlayStation. So you can enter them all here on fresh lines. And this is a really good thing. I don't think we have this on PC. You can't do this on PC. But it means that when people come onto your server, they can only access it if the account they're logged into on their PlayStation or Xbox server matches the username that is on the whitelist. So there's no messing around adding passwords. The hard bit about this is getting people to tell you their username with the correct spelling. Because people use all sorts of weird things. They'll use spaces, they use funny brackets, they use zeros instead of O's and ones instead of I's or L's and all that sort of stuff. So I always find it's best to tell people, look, email me or message me with your exact username, and then I just copy and paste it into the whitelist box. And then if it's wrong, it's their fault. Now, occasionally, there has been times when the whitelist function on Nitrado servers has stopped working for DayZ. And in that case, we've had to go back to password. And so all you do is put your, whatever it would be, password in here, save that, and then restart that. And then you'll be using a password instead. But the problem with the password is, unless DayZ's changed it, which I don't think they have, every time you go to a server, even if it's a favourite server, the game doesn't remember the password, so you've got to type it in every time, and that's a right pain in the bottom with a keyboard, let alone a virtual keyboard that you're controlling via your gamepad for PlayStation or Xbox. So my advice is always go with the whitelist. And then also, you don't have any problems with people sharing passwords. You might say to Fred, yeah, you come and play on my server. And Fred goes, oh, Steve, why don't you come? And then Steve posts it on the Discord. And all of a sudden, you've got these people who you don't know, who probably aren't following the rules that you want to set with the way that you want DayZ to be played on your server, to be on the server, and that can intentionally and unintentionally cause lots of problems. If you get really busy, we've then got prioritized players where you could put their names here, and these would then, if there was a queue for your server, they would jump to the front of the queue. I'm guessing though, if you're a beginner to DayZ server modding on console, that we're probably not quite at that stage as we go along. Right, so there we go. So all the other settings I'm going to address in a video that's coming up. But that, my friends, is how you control the access to your server with a password or a whitelist, and how you change the name and how you change the map that the server is running. Hopefully you found this video useful. If you have, hit like. If you want to see more of the same, press subscribe. And of course, I'll see you again soon.